Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of Daftarkhwan Fireside. Um, my name is Saad, and I am one of the co-founders of Daftarkhwan. If you're not already familiar, Daftarkhwan is a network of premium co-working spaces across three cities in Pakistan. We host more than 1,500 of some of the most brilliant, incredible individuals, entrepreneurs, innovators, freelancers, consultants, professionals, you name it. And we're very happy and we're very proud and honored to be hosting one of those very brilliant innovators for this session here today. Our guest today is Ahsan Tahir, who is the co-founder and CEO of Walee. Walee is the largest and the fastest growing influencer marketing platform of Pakistan. And Walee has been gaining some incredible traction in the last very brief amount of time that it's been around. It already has more than 50,000 influencers on its platform. It has serviced more than 5,000 brands in this very short amount of time. They were founded in 2019. And very recently, Walee has also raised, I believe, $2.7 million in strategic seed funding from Z2C in Pakistan, which again is a juggernaut and a powerhouse in the media and advertising industry here in Pakistan. Ehsan, his CV doesn't really look it, but has already accomplished a bunch of very stellar successes in his very brief career, and we're very excited to see what else he has in store for us. He's chosen a very high intensity path, less chosen to get to where he is today. And it kind of blows my mind every time I get into a conversation with him, because every time it's just something new and it's just like chock full of wisdom and random, cliched smoothie into like really deep insights as well. And every conversation is actually pretty funny, because like every conversation I have with him is pretty much a fireside chat, because it's just like me sitting and asking questions and just kind of getting overwhelmed by how much he has to offer. And I can't wait to kind of share that with all of you today. So without further ado, Ehsan, how are you feeling?
I'm good, Saad. How are you?
I am well. You have a very nice background thing going on. So,
So, thank
nicely
you, Saad,
done.
for hosting me in this chat, and thank you for hosting Walee as a company as well in Daftarkhwan. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting. I know you wanted to say that. I'm sitting in Daftarkhwan,
Yeah.
and
Thank you. Thank
it's
you. You'll get
absolutely
your check
amazing.
shortly. But no, thank you. And it's absolutely our pleasure. And, like the whole team, they really kind of blow our mind with the kind of energy that they have. But you know what I wanted to kind of start the conversation off with was everybody talks about, the highs and the highlights and the TED Talks and the, fundraisers and everything. But I think one very important thing to kind of talk about and to address in an entrepreneur's life is the bipolarity of it all, right? So like the highs are very high and the lows are like super low. So in this amount of time, you've already, before this, you've built a company, you've exited a company, you have a, stellar career. But what was in your journey to entrepreneurship and your journey so far, what was like the lowest or the like toughest challenge that you've had to face so far? Just point pay, like, you just said, okay, there's absolutely no way I'm getting out of this. And what happened? What did you do?
Okay, so I guess we're jumping right into the
Yeah,
most.
yeah.
Okay, like the people like you and me who are on a path, and they're naturally, aiming for a certain dream or a vision, whatever they have. They're driven by just not normal, I would say, goals and mayats. There's something else that actually drives them and push them towards that. And more importantly, I guess it's really hard to actually categorize if at one point in time you're successful or not, because even at now, I think a lot of people in Pakistan and abroad has raised a lot of money. So that does not define that we are successful or not. It's just that through that financing and through those partnerships and through that team, you just have a better shot at achieving your dream. Nothing else. It's the wheel is still going on, the game is on, you still have to play and you still have to score and you have to win. So it's an ongoing battle, right? But if you look at and because you know me so personally, of all the companies that I failed, exited, some of them are, one or two of them are still successful and growing at a very linear pace. In a normal person's life, those companies would be ideal. It's a self-sustainable, financially strong companies growing on and on. But the point is, behind all of that, whatever is happening, a lowest point, I think, in my life would be, fundings are said yes to and no, clients come and go, and all of that is constantly happening. But as an entrepreneur or as somebody who is leading a pack of a company, the most toughest part is that you are responsible for a group of people, right? Alhamdulillah, Walee has of now is huge across 5 cities and 2 countries and all, but you're responsible for that. So I guess the lowest point in my life would always be when a couple of years back, I guess, or more than that, I did not have the money to pay the salaries. And at that point in time, you just don't know how to get that money, right? We don't come from the backgrounds where you have a lot of cash sitting around and you can just serve that. There's just no money available. And you're just wondering that I am supposed to pay these guys tomorrow morning and there is just no money available. And it's just not about those guys or those people who are with you. It's about their families, because you're part of a food chain where it all flows through and you're putting food on that table. I think that is the worst thing any entrepreneur or any business owner goes through in life. That sheer pressure that, okay, you have to face them and you don't have the money to pay their salaries. I remember a couple of years back, I think more than a couple of years back, 4 years back, I would say, I was in a point where we had a team and there was just no money to pay the salaries. And at that point in time, you're just constantly thinking, okay, I can sell my car. What else I can sell in my house to pay the salaries? You're just trying to look at, and more importantly, what else I can do to pay the salaries. And that is the most vulnerable you can get at that point in time, because there is no solution coming, right? No matter who you are, whether you believe in Allah, whether you believe in karma, or you just believe in something else, you're just praying for that to some magic miracle happens. And I think the only way to get out of that is to just be persistence and patience for that the miracle will happen, something will happen. And eventually it's you who figure it out, actually, one way or another, just supported by other entities and everything. But I guess that would be the most of his point. And the reactions we actually give, because I know a lot of people, I know entrepreneurs, like the way they react to that pressure, they're so vulnerable and so weak at that point in time. But when they come out of that washroom or come out of that private room or everything like that, the face doesn't tell what exactly has happened there. So the life goes on. So I guess, that would be the most painful point or the toughest thing where the whole journey of last 10, 12 years happened.
Yeah. And I think, like, anyone who's kind of built something from scratch has kind of been through that to some extent. And any decent entrepreneur or founder is like I think that's top 3, one of the, biggest concerns that you have at any given point in time, that you're responsible for all of these people, and not just their livelihoods, but their career paths and their progression and how well they're doing in life and what they'll even do in the future. But like, how do you get through it? Like in that particular instance, like what happened? What did you do? Because again, so like let's unpack persistence as well, right? Because again, persistence is great. Everyone should have grit and persistence and all of that, but it doesn't really come alone. Like, you need to have kind of something to hang on to, something to kind of, anchor you, that kind of takes you forward or like makes you persistent. So like, what did you do? What did you think? What happened?
To be very honest, Sati, because we're discussing exactly how we solved that problem, and a lot of those exactly similar problems. And when you're big, the pressure is high, because the bigger you are, the faster you burn, right? But the more important aspect to that is that you should not be afraid to ask or show your vulnerable side to the people who really, really care about you, right? And within this whole trajectory, I've been very, very lucky to have those mentors who were just not being mentors, actually. They had their skin in the game, and their advice really, really matters, because their self-interests are aligned by you. And at the same time, in those really early times, or like what we normally call that inner circle, they really believe that, okay, this is the time is tough. Exactly. We understand that this guy has tried everything that he could do in his potential or whatever the capability he has, but this is the line that has been drawn. There is nothing that he can do as of now. So let's get through the day. Let's survive the day. And to be very honest, we actually did that. I remember, I think 4 5 years back, just to make sure that okay, there is no monthly salary coming in. It's all there is no funds coming in. How can we make sure that for the next 24 hours there is enough money somewhere from somewhat available that we can actually eat, our families can eat, from especially from that inner circle. And I think that really creates that vibe between the whole team, because they have been through that, they have suffered through that, so they get to enjoy the other side of it as well, when the perks come in or when the successes come in or whenever things get back to smooth. So I guess the team and the mentors was something that always, whenever I thought that this is the end. And I know that every single entrepreneur that I know who has gone to a multi-million dollar scale or now actually touching multi-billion dollar scale, all of them repeatedly always think, okay, this is the end. This is the end. This is the end. It's not something like they have a very clear vision and they're so absolutely clear, okay, this is exactly how successful I'm going to be in a week's time, 2 weeks, in 3 weeks' time. No, we always go through that cycle where we think this is the end. But the point is how you react about it, how you instill that passion around in the team. Okay, do you make them believe that it's the end? Or if you're believing this is the end, but you make sure that they have that passion, that motivation to survive another day, just survive another day. And first day might be tough, the second day might be even more tougher, but the third day, magic happens. It always happens. It always happens. So that's just surviving the days.
Very interesting. So that's also like, somewhat of a departure from conventional, like management wisdom, where you just kind of, and not just management wisdom, like generally, like, people have been very cagey and, kind of behind closed doors about that, everything's under control and don't worry, we'll figure it out. And no, we're fine. So would you say that this whole notion of like radical transparency that you're talking about, of being like super open to your team and to your people that you're responsible to, like, do you think that has any like adverse impacts? Because like, on first thought, you'd probably think that, if you kind of let that out, that's going to probably create a wave of panic and unrest that might unravel and kind of, blow out of proportion. So like, is that what you're saying? Like, does it have to be like complete and full honesty?
I really think, Saad, this is subjective to actually everybody's own journey. We have all of our own journeys, and even after like a decade of doing the exact same thing again and again, you kind of still don't know how exactly is the to do it or what's the success recipe. But 1,000 ways of don'ts. Like, okay, this is not something that you're supposed to do on all of that. I guess, and the transparency actually comes from a stage of the company. As an individual, I'm a radically transparent person of exactly when company is growing, all of our team members, and it's just not the inner circle. It's you need to push that inner circle towards the edge of the whole company. We are all growing together. We are all winning together. But when you're losing, the inner circle or you have to be the one to take the biggest hit always, right? So it's a subjective day at the stage of the company. When you are starting off, naturally the people who are very much close to you, it's only a couple of people who are actually there, so they understand the pains and the process. But at that point in time, when you reach to a certain level where it's constantly growing and all of that, at that point in time, your responsibility is to not make people worry. Your responsibility to make sure that people feel safe. And no matter how hard you're paddling under the water at that point in time, you need to look really calm about that. I really believe that, because they have chosen you to be their leader in that situation. They have chosen that you will keep them safe. And they have chosen that whatever perks you're enjoying at that level, you deserve that because you keep them safe. So yes, it's a responsibility. So it's totally subjective at the stage of the company and the group of people that you interact with.
Yeah. No, makes a lot of sense. So back to that crisis again. I'm sorry, I'm not going to let that go. So you persisted, and then what? Like, did you? Basically, what I'm trying to get to is that, do you think, what's your view on like business pivots, for example? Like, do you think there's something there to be kind of evaluated on a daily basis? Because again, that kind of, you alluded to that as well, that there is, a basic level of certainty or like a basic general direction to where you're going as a company or as an individual, and the vision that you're kind of trying to lead the company with. But plans change, and things change very, very quickly. And as a young startup, you kind of have to pivot very, very quickly. Like, is there something strategic that you also kind of went back to and did differently, or just kind of reached out and kind of brute force reach out to as many people, as many clients, get business, persist, and like break through that wall? Was that the strategy?
Okay. So in any entrepreneur's life, I guess the pivots are essential or a crucial component of how a company grows. But the more important point is that you don't lose the sight of the end goal that you have, right? If you're losing that, then naturally all the pivots are meaningless because you're constantly distracted. You're not focused. You're not delivering anything, right? So the overall high level focus is very important, but naturally the pivots happen. And being how you run a business, whatever puts foods on your table within that overall high level direction is the pivot that you should focus on naturally in the near future. But overall, the long term strategic vision has to be aligned with exactly what you're trying to achieve. So I guess in my case, because when you're the kind of companies that we are building are not, like they're in a very hyper growth phase, right? Kind of doubling up every quarter. Those are not traditional companies, and they are just at a big different trajectory. And from that perspective, you really need to make sure that the pivots, whatever you're doing, is solving your near future problem, but is also contributing towards the goal that you at the end of the day have. And in my case, that specific point in time that you're talking about or referring to, for me, to be very honest, it was brute force. It was brute force. For me, it was like I have a very simple goal about sales. I am a software engineering background person who has worked in the last 10 years for data sciences. But from a sales strategy, it's very simple for me. You meet 100 people and you will get one sale. In fact, sometimes it's really better than that. Sometimes it's worse than that, right? It's just as simple how it is. But the point is, if you have not met 100 people, you have not pitched to 100 people, you cannot complain because you have not done your best. So that's the whole thing. For in my case, if whenever the cash flow running low of exactly how much I can push my limits forward, of my mental limit, of my physical limit, or as a team collectively, more importantly, because those are the people who are actually sustaining you and supporting you. Collectively as a team, how can we push that boundary a little bit more ahead so that we can, solve the problem that we have as of now? And I think that is, and the core team, and now actually as a whole company, I think we so much believe in that. That's why this growth that we're doing, and a lot more details than we actually share publicly, is just the reason is that just like we need to push the limit forward. We need to challenge ourselves exactly what more I could have done. Simple as that.
Very interesting. And like I honestly feel, like knowing some of the guys and the people on your team, like that's the kind of energy that they kind of share with you as well. Kind of taking a challenge and like, going all the way through. But so here's another question. This space that you're in, it's not a simple space, right? So if I were to kind of think about, okay, what kind of a venture would I like to kind of get into, like to think about what kind of problem would I like to solve, my automatic inclination would probably go, to something that is familiar, that is, part of, or at least close to my comfort zone, where I grew up, how I grew up, what I know about the industry, which industry I'm kind of, a little more familiar with. This industry that you've picked, which is, on the cusp of social media marketing as well to some extent, but also you're leaning very, very heavily and kind of, in essence, disrupting in a very, very true sense, not in a cliched buzzword kind of way that we're disrupting so and so and such, but like really truly disrupting conventional advertising. And conventional, the media industry and how it kind of operates, and you're effectively creating a new railroad, a new channel for people to kind of organize, all of the TikTokers and snack video and Insta and like all of these powerful platforms that were already generating a lot of value, but like no one really even today, like not a lot of people know what to do with it and how to orchestrate it. And you guys are kind of, running the show as far as that's concerned. Um, why would you do that? Like, why would you, basically the question is like, why would you venture so far into a problem that complex? Like, what was your thought process going into it? Like, were you familiar with it? Was it an adventure that you wanted to kind of, take on? Or, was it just like a weird, spur of the moment decision that you thought about
When I
taking?
was listening to your question, the only thing that was coming to my mind again and again was Lord of the Rings. That you
Sure.
don't
Yeah.
you don't choose the journey chooses you.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
so I guess it's absolute. So of all the people that I know who are running their own ventures or who have been down their path, a lot of events in their life and the sequence of the events, how they happen, actually place you where you are at this point in time. Very rarely that actually I have known people. Actually, I don't know any person in that position who says that, okay, one day I woke up and I was like, okay, I'm going to build $1 billion company. Which problems are out there that I'm going to solve and make $1 billion company? That's what investment bankers do, not the entrepreneurs. They don't do that, right? So
Sure. Sure.
since
Yeah.
last 10 years, actually, I have been associated, more than 10 years now, I've been associated with consumer profiling, marketing automation, and SaaS services, and all of that one way or another. That has been the same thing that I've been doing for the last 10, 12 years, actually. And my first job was actually building a CRM SaaS. First company that I started was a SaaS that got bought out. Every single company that has failed or is successful as of now has been through consumer profiling, matchmaking, content monetization, one way or another, right? So it's not that I chose one day that, okay, today I'm going to start influencer marketing. No. It's a journey of 12 years who has evolved into a certain what we are as of now. And I think that's just not my edge. That's the edge that Walee has as well, is that every product that is being built within Walee, every client that is being served with Walee, does not just, that learning and that knowledge base that is being used to serve that spans over last 10, 12 years. And in our space, 10, 12 years is a lifetime, because the most of the platforms that we're using have been only around for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
So in our case, that's the lifespan of the most of the platforms that we're serving. And that's why Walee is not just an app. Walee is a universe. We have multiple products that serve our clients in the way that we want them to be served, or that actually really benefits them. So that it's a span over like more than a decade of actually how I got here. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. But I would still, kind of wonder, because I mean now, and want to kind of talk about the future for Walee as well. But now you guys are looking and eyeing at the Middle Eastern market. Going into like opening up another unknown new territory that you're not a native of, you're not very familiar with. But again, like being such a young company, you're just like what, a year and a half, maybe 2 years or so into the Walee journey at the moment. And then to kind of open up an entirely new territory where you're also kind of doing a lot of demand creation and actually creating something new here in Pakistan, and not going into one of those like conventional business models where you're like you understand advertising or investor influencer platform. So here you go, here's our sales, and now we're off to Dubai or off to wherever or off to the Middle East or somewhere to kind of launch a new market. So I would say that there probably still is some adventurous streak that I don't know if you kind of process that, or is that just like how you kind of thought from the get-go? And like what I'm basically trying to understand is, where is that coming from? Was it a point where you started thinking about it that way, or is there a conscious push that you have, or that you kind of think about in terms of kind of doing something new or pushing the envelope constantly, and not kind of letting things settle?
I think, Saad, there is like twofold answer to the question that you're asking. Naturally, the DNA of the company is whatever the values or what exactly is inside the founding team that actually guides everything. And then you create all of that structured ecosystem around it so that it guides you where you are. and the time that you have known me, has been a very fanatic, I would say, towards that build. Okay, I need to build a unicorn. You know that, right? And now the way that exponentially we are growing as of now, we have a real shot at making that happen. And to make that happen, you have always, once you have that vision clear, okay, this is my vision, right? Okay, I need to build a $1 billion company. Or if you're looking at a personal vision that I mentioned to you a lot of times, that okay, that in a couple of years time, or in a year's time, 2 years time, I need to have a million people in Pakistan at least earning more than the minimum government wage, right? And it's a very clear vision. As humans, we are very visual oriented. It's a very crystal clear vision that okay, that you're following and that you need to chase after that. Now to make that happen, you understand that okay, this is not to build a $1 billion company or to make sure that 1 million people in Pakistan can earn above minimum government wage. You understand that you need finances for that, you need infrastructures for that, you need a team for that. And okay, I need to create that much, but the industry size in Pakistan is just not that big enough to make that $1 billion dream a reality. So you see, okay, which markets have that opening still available, where you can still serve on a technology stack that you have built in Pakistan, and how quickly you can export that to those regions that they can start using it, and how strategically those regions will contribute to make sure that as overall as a consolidated group of assets, it can grow above a certain level and be that real version of the dream to build a $1 billion company. For me, actually, personally, influencer marketing in Pakistan, I have actually tried doing it 3 times, as I mentioned to earlier. In 2013, failed terribly. I tried again in 2015, failed terribly. But in 2019, when I launched it, kaboom, that has been just phenomenal growth after that. And of course, naturally, you learn in some certain iterations that, okay, I've done it a couple of times. I know what exactly is not to do. So you try it again. And this time around, you actually, focus on, okay, how do I benefit people? The best businesses are always where you are creating value for the people, right? And as you know, the word Walee, it's an Arabic word, which means a friend or a supporter. And so that is Walee is trying to do, is to create job opportunities. And when people get that money in their pocket, they contribute back to the company's success. So what you're doing is just making sure that people can earn a lot from Walee. At the same time, your clients are getting that benefit that, okay, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are working for them and marketing and selling on their behalf so that both parties win. And when both of them win, then Walee wins. Now we need to make sure that, okay, how we broaden that scope outside of Pakistan and Middle East and North Africa is, from a business perspective, is a very, very, very clear option. That's why we have moved so fast, and you'll be seeing a lot of amazing updates happening in the next couple of weeks or months. So that core belief is there. Yes, we need to create more and more jobs. And as you know, during the pandemic, Walee was created massive amount of jobs because a lot of people just by posting content online started earning from the comfort of their homes. And that was just phenomenal. And I used to read these Instagram stories being posted on our Facebook groups where somebody would post that, okay, this is the first time I have earned anything in my life, and how the family would celebrate. I just remember this influencer who earned the first rupee in their life through Walee, and the family gave them a cake and a card. I still remember that story very clear in my mind. That stuck there.
Yeah.
And the emotions that family is going through, that your first time you've earned something, that's through Walee. And the best part about it, that at the same time, the businesses that were being served through that were just like mind-blowingly, like, wow, this has happened. This can happen. So when both of them are winning, then the Walees naturally, get that super boost that we're looking for.
That's so interesting, man. So I wanna get into, like, what kind of makes you tick and makes you want to kind of keep moving and keep solving these problems, because I think we're getting to that. But before we jump into it, like, what were like the highlights, the key takeaways from the failures in 2013 and 2015, was it?
Yes. So I think the first thing was, the most important thing that you can always have is the team, the people around you, right? And more importantly, sooner or later, once you have gone through that cycle a couple of times, you realize that it's all about people at the end of the day. Either you're working with people, you're serving people, or whoever that is. So it's about the people. So I think that having the right team and the right mentors, and you would always hear from me a lot that I mentioned the word mentors a lot. I think everybody should have, before having a co-founding partner, should have a mentor actually in your life. It's extremely crucial to have that. And so I think most of the time, first, naturally, from a business perspective, yes, you would say that the market was not ready. Nobody would have heard the word influencers in Pakistan. And even if the influencers were in such scarcity at that point in time in Pakistan, the businesses did not have any sort of budgets available, or nobody was looking at that marketing or advertising channel as of now, right?
Sure.
Which is like kind of exponentially growing year on year as of now. So yes, in business terms, you can say that. But if you look at behind the curtain, it's always about what are the people that you have around you that can push for that limit, make sure that you push your own limits as well. So yeah, I think people always, the lesson that I've learned in over my life is to focus on people, how you manage people, how you let people manage you. That's the most important lesson
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know a few people who've been pretty badly burnt by bad mentors as well. So, like mentors, you're absolutely right. It's a powerful, powerful thing. But in the hands of the wrong kind of people, it kind of really does some damage as well. Do you ever think about like how did you, for example, like whoever your mentors are, I know you have multiple types of questions that you may have at multiple points in your life, and let's not get into that, but like how, do you ever think about it, or is it all like coincidental and by chance that you run into someone and this person is great, and then you kind of attach yourself to that individual as a mentor? Or do you actively go out? Do you ever scout? Do you research? Do you have a filtering process, or it just happens?
I think it's a mix of both, but more often than normal, you meet the right people very by luck or by coincidence, to be just very honest. I don't have an Excel workbook available that has the name of all mentors available on it, and then I'm taking them as a funnel to go through them.
Sure.
So yes, you just meet them by coincidence, and a lot of times. But it's just that you, over the period of time, you need to understand that who are the people that are really sincere in your success, who are not, right? And I do have a couple of criteria for that. Okay, is this person really invested in my success? And if it's not, then naturally, that's a red flag. And I think the real opportunity, or by luck, I went into these litigation proper very early in my career, proper. So I fought those battles. Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost. So because of that, you have a lot of dawns on the red flags available. Okay, this person would be a really big problem for me at the point in time, and
Sure.
then you don't make a conscious decision to move away from them. It just happens because now your personality is tuned that way. So yeah, I
Interesting.
guess, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Um, ये जरा बताएं कि this whole manic obsession with building a unicorn, where is that coming from, and why is that important to you? Like, I mean, everybody wants to be successful, and everybody wants to. I think more than the success, like everybody wants to build something of lasting, enduring value. But why this obsession with के मैंने unicorn बनाना है?
Saad, if you personally know me, and you very well know, is that it's a lot about the mindset. I never think, even since I was a child, I have never thought about a single instance. I cannot remember a single instance where I thought that this something is not possible for me. Believe me on that. And sometimes my wife gets really annoyed with me. I'm like, you cannot be good at everything. So just stop thinking about that. So, but that's my mindset, that I can be good, I can be best, I can be top on everything that I touch. And that's just the mindset. It's not that's the reality of me as well. Sometimes on a lot of things I'd be really, really bad at. I might be just good at a couple of things. But it's the mindset, right? And when I look at Pakistan as a whole, and or the region that I'm serving and all of that, I think it's just about, from the backgrounds that we are coming and what we are striving for, you need a better class of inspirations in front of you to be able to do what you actually want to do. As you know, that Mount Everest was first, it took hundreds and hundreds of years to reach for one person to reach the Mount Everest. But once that happened, doesn't people take that next year again? So it's just the relatability. And I really believe that a lot of times the people who are really building big companies, you know that a lot of them are foreign educated, or a lot of them are coming from very successful careers, and so they really make a lot of life easier for the people like us who are coming behind them, because they create the industry, they create the venture financing industry or the infrastructure that is needed to create these companies. So they create the path that we walk. But still, I really feel that when actually somebody would announce from Pakistan that, okay, I'm just a person who's living in Islamabad in this sector, and now I have $1 billion company, that creates relatability. That creates that ambition around in the people around you who are watching you to do that. And once that, and you're seeing that for yourself, it's not just that the industry, venture financing industry has changed, that a lot of investment is coming to Pakistan. No, over the years, especially after when the Kareem got exited, that created so much inspiration across Pakistan for a lot of people in our community. We need to push, and there is a reason that you have so many people who are willing to give all in to make all of that happen. So I guess that was just I had this mindset that, okay, I can achieve anything. I'll just push for it. And this is the biggest thing that can happen for Pakistan, and to have Pakistan as of now, that would inspire 100 more billion-dollar companies to happen. So that it needs to happen. And that's the.
So basically, building a unicorn is your Everest. Like, you just have to have it, and I think you're absolutely right.
And as of now, that what is happening with I see how my personality is evolving, or how my brain thought process is evolving as well. I'm pretty sure the moment we touch the unicorn, I would be thinking, okay, how do I get to a data unicorn? That's a goal.
Definitely.
So the bullseye keep moving ahead. And it's a lot of people sometimes when talk about me or talk to me, and they're like, you're talking about these things like as if they're real to you. But it's all fake dust as of now. This has not happened. But the point is of what Walee is as of now, not just impressed. You know what exactly Walee is? That was a dream at one point in time as well, and it has happened. And we went past through that finish line in like a bolt. We did not even see that, okay, we have crossed the finish line. That was a finish line at one point in time.
Yeah.
So it's just like that.
I mean, honestly, I totally hear you, because it's all angel dust, right? Like, I mean, before we started what we're doing, or before you started what you're doing, it was just a random idea in a random person's head, right? And now in your case, it's hundreds of people, it's thousands of influencers, it's thousands of brands, and so much value, and like you said, like so much empowerment for a lot of these grassroots influences as well, a lot of them, and I think like any entrepreneur would completely relate to that's pretty much how it all starts. But like for me, like when I look at it personally, so the objective for me, for instance, isn't, at least at this point in time, to build that that number in terms of the value of the company. So like that was just what I was trying to understand, because like I'm just basically trying to get to how does that tie into your purpose in life? Because I saw you talking about empowerment, and I kind of get that, delivering value to the people, enabling the people that are on your team, but in a very real sense, also creating this channel for people all over Pakistan and all over the world, potentially all over the region next, and going on to the world to kind of help them generate opportunities for themselves, doing whatever they're doing in a more structured manner, and actually delivering real palpable value to themselves and to their family. So like, how does this kind of, tie into the overall mission? And I think Munir just joined the conversation. And I think he would probably, kind of value this question as well. What is the purpose in life? Like, karna kya hai?
Okay.
Because you're right, कि वो जो unicorn वाली चीज है वो तो होगी, and it's inevitable, and you'll get there, and then it'll be the next thing, but like what is the it's true, and it. So like what is the actual drive here? Like what are you trying to do?
I think, Saad, one of the things that I would really like to mention here is that I think a lot of time these days we are really glamorizing the hustle, and we are really stigmatizing 9 to 5 jobs. And I don't believe in that. I believe that every one of us has a subjective reality of our life goals, right? And a lot of times that what we're doing is that a lot of people around us are sustaining us to do that, are supporting us to do that, and so it's not possible without them. And I got a call a couple of days back from somebody who was basically, starting a business, and the wife did not knew that the business is happening, and he was like, "What should I do?" And I was like, "Chase your dreams, but you should be the one who should be paying the cost for your dreams, not your family, right? They did not sign
Yeah.
up for it." So uh, it's a subjective reality. Everybody has their own purpose. Everybody has their own goals to self-actualization, what makes them really happy and content. And there is no correct or right answer to it. If somebody really likes to sleep in their pajamas and have a good sip of a coffee on a really comfortable sofa, good for them. I really, really appreciate them because they're happy in that. It's just the way I am built. I am built to make these things happen. It's just what drives me. I I get up 5 a.m. in the morning. I go for like 30, 40 minutes run. I'm in office by 6:30 a.m. and I'm grinding at that point in time. 6, 7 a.m. p.m. I'm done. So it's like 13, 14 hours a day. And I don't break a sweat because that's just, I'm really happy. I love my job. I'm really happy of exactly what I do. It gives me that, that self-satisfaction. And as a humans, if you look at it, a lot of people do not understand the human psychology or human body, semantics behind it. If you look at our hormones that really drive us, and you might be laughing at me that why exactly I'm talking about hormones, but it's really important. You have dopamine and you have endorphin and you have serotonin, like a couple of really the hormones that get you a lot of that thing going. And I would like to talk about dopamine, right? Because dopamine is, you get a kick out of it if you get something done. It's a sense of accomplishment, it's a sense of achievement, right? And but the access of dopamine, you turn into a drug addict, right? If in the morning you wake up and you are like, looking at your cell phone right away, you feel the need to look at your cell phone. You're addicted to your cell phone, and the social networks are designed that way to kick in the dopamine, right? At the same time, same for the drugs. If you're a drug addict, you feel that need to have. So dopamine comes from a sense of accomplishment, right? And I really feel that entrepreneurs are addicted to that sense of achievement. And the issue is that they normally have that in access. So when you have reached that point of accomplishment, your dopamine is in so much access that it needs more kick. It needs something else.
Yeah.
So you need to find, and you're constantly looking for, okay, how exactly I get the next kick of dopamine in. And I know, it's true for every entrepreneur that I know. It's true for all of us. It's just
Yeah,
that
I mean, the comparison between a drug addict and an entrepreneur, I mean, it's really driving home the point that as you're making that point, you're rocking back and forth. I think that's kind of really a persuasive way to kind of push that point across. But no, I get it, man. Like, and I think that's like quite literally the definition of excellence as well, right? That it's a constantly moving target. I get that completely. But but where are you trying to go? Like, where is Ahsan trying to go? Like, not entrepreneurs in general. Like, what is your vision? Like, I get that, you really enjoy the day to day. And I know for a fact that you're, kind of in office before 7 a.m., before like any of us, any of our teams or any of our staff is there either. But there has to be something that kind of drives you, because fundamentally, like, we're all human at the end of the day. There's no one I know, at least, including you, that has the same mood every day, right? So you have good days and you have bad days, right? So you need to have something that kind of pushes you through the bad days as well. So
yeah. So
what drives you?
please allow me to take it back to the hormones. It's very important.
Oh man.
there is a book. There is a book by Simon Sinek, "Leaders Eat Last."
Sure.
That book I just love. "Leaders Eat Last." Please, when you have a chance, if you have not already, do go through that. And it talks about the clarity of how you get the endorphins and the dopamine kicks in, right? And it talks about the vision, right? And there is a reason it's called vision. You need to be able to visualizing, right? And when you can visualize your vision, then it needs to be very clear. So, normally the corporates would have vision like to be the best, to be the biggest, to be the most respectful to whom? Your mother, your
Yeah.
wife, to whom, right? But
Sure.
for me, if my vision is like I need to create, I need to have to make sure that 1 million people in Pakistan in 2 years' time can have at least minimum government age being earned through Walee. That's very clear. You know what the government minimum wage is. You know what you multiply that, you have a couple of billion rupees. And apart from that, okay, this is a couple of billion rupees that needs to be transferred on monthly basis. That means that's coming out of my commission. That means my turnover needs to be much, much, much higher than that to be able to make that happen. Then everything starts making sense. Everything starts making sense. So that's how actually I visualize. I'm a very, very visual person. I like to visualize every single thing. And when I think of a concept that, okay, I want to change how Pakistan is perceived internationally, or I want to build a company so big, a platform so big that it shakes Pakistan, Middle East, North Africa, or the Southeast Asian markets that we are targeting. But it's visual for me. The concept is so clear in my mind that, okay, this is exactly how it will go about it. Naturally, there will be pivots along the way. That's just the reality it is. It's not a straight journey towards that. There will be a lot of zigzag and all of it. But it's visual for me. It's my vision that I get the kick from. Okay, I need to constantly keep moving towards that. And I think the best people of us who are comfortable in moving that vision a bit more forward, every time. But the vision is supposed to be ambitious enough that they're not easy to reach, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
No,
how
man,
I look at my future.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think वो ये है कि unless you kind of experience it yourself, you can't really explain to anyone else the story that you just mentioned about that influencer who made her first income or her first rupee through your platform. Like it's little tiny stories like that I feel like personally that gives you the most kind of push and the most amount of drive because
And
I
if you
go
saw,
on.
if you look at Walee, there are a lot of people who are earning a lot, like in millions of rupees now, because you have a lot of bigger campaigns happening, right? We are
Right.
serving all the major banks, FMCGs, telcos, and all of that. And there are
Sure.
some people who are only earning a couple of hundred rupees. But for each of them, the sense of accomplishment is kind of the same.
Sure.
And
Sure.
they really enjoy the people who are making millions of Walee because they are just bigger influencers or they're celebrities. They get the
Yeah.
same kick. Somebody who's making a couple of hundred rupees, it's relatively the same skill for them. So we really like when we see all of them, just doing magic and being just a small cog in that chain of magic, just is worth everything.
Sure. So on celebrities, Muneeb's just asking this very obvious question के एहसन भाई आप थकते नहीं हैं and but it's rich coming from him this question क्योंकि one could ask him the same question के नहीं भाई आप थकते नहीं हैं but very cool, man, and this is going a little over time as I knew it would, but I hope you're not doing anything, but the last couple of things that I wanted to ask you is again I am lucky to be privy to knowing or understanding the superstars, a few of the like really heavyweights that you have working with you on building Walee in Pakistan and beyond Pakistan as well. And one of the challenges that I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs face here in Pakistan, and I think like pretty much all over. And I think like that's also psychological because you start off so small that you as a founder are always kind of grounded and kind of very acutely aware of the fact that I'm a little new at this. I'm just starting out, and you're very, very kind of acutely aware of what the gaps are in your own understanding and the uncertainties and what they are as well, right? But how do you think about recruitment? And I feel that not being able to recruit heavyweights and like really rockstar employees is also what kind of challenges businesses locally in their ability to scale and in their ability to grow, because you're always just kind of bottlenecked onto one thing or the other. How do you think about recruitment, and do you ever think about like, I'm bringing in this person and this person has this HSBC, Goldman Sachs, etc., all of that profile going on. How can I deliver or add value to their life or their career? How can Walee or Ahsan even fit into that picture? How do you process that?
Apart from the part that Saad, a lot of these things happen when they're supposed to happen. You really cannot force that, right? But one of the very important thing is that you should not be afraid to ask. If you won't ask, it won't happen. It's as simple as that in a lot of cases, right? We don't ask. We are really scared. And we are limited by the glass ceiling that our brain creates. That, okay, you cannot go above that. And that I've never been afraid to ask somebody, even if they are CEO of Instagram or whoever they are. I'm willing to ask. I will ask, right? So, and that actually helps me because I'm very much used to having awkward conversations. But naturally, when you're in our positions, you have to have awkward conversations. So what can go wrong? They might just say no. That's fine. But now they know that you exist. They know that you are on the map. So not to be afraid. Always to just don't afraid to ask. And the second thing is don't take favors. If somebody is giving you their time, then they should be properly compensated for that. That's the one rule that has been there with me since last 10 years. To be very honest, I don't know where it came from, just to be very honest, but it's just that don't take favors, right? If somebody is giving you their time, that time has value to it. Pay that value. And if you really think that this guy's 10 minutes for me is worth every single thing that I have in my house right now, as an entrepreneur, you will be selling that to get that 10 minutes. So pay the value, right? The issue is that when we go and ask these heavy rates, you're expecting an advice that does not have any concrete outcome to it. You're just randomly saying that, okay, I'm a fanboy, I would like to work with you. What happens after that, right? And more importantly, other than that, just ask and pay the price. And once their skin in the game is there, and they see that you have a mindset that even if you are nobody as of now, but you're still thinking at a level where you're treating them as your equal. And you're like, yes, I understand your value. You're amazing. And I want you to be a part of my journey. And I'll try to compensate you to the best of my abilities. Please be a part of the journey. You go into that conversation, things happen. And a lot of times, a lot of the people who are part of the journey was just that I simply asked that, please.
Very interesting. Very cool. So we have some questions and comments coming in as well, and I want to include one of those. And the question primarily is, have you ever thought about, or like, what's your view on using gaming for brands, for social media marketing? Do you think that's also like a market that exists out there? Is it big? Do you think it's going to grow? Do you think it's something that people should be looking at as well?
We are heavily focused towards e-gaming, and that's public knowledge as of now. As the companies Z2C that invested in Walee, actually, as you know, are the major shareholders of the $2 billion marketing advertising industry of Pakistan. And if you look at how the Z2C is working as of now, they are into very heavily into OTT platforms as well, media channels. Naturally, that is something they have always been good at. And esports, there's a lot of initiatives that people don't know are actually backed by Z2C in that space. And also in real sports, and then online leagues and everything and all of that. And from that $2 billion media marketing advertising industry, if you come back towards influencer marketing chunk, which is I think as of now around $50 million, $25 million of that is publicly quoted and knowledge, but there is naturally there's always in Pakistan another half to it. That's always happening. If you look at that major chunk of that, the other half is being driven through esports. And the press release that you saw that came out about Walee as well, that very clearly actually explained that part as well, that it's a big space for influencers as of now. We are already in talks with the major platforms, and you'll be soon seeing a lot of different news coming in that perspective. So yes, esports is the future. That's the game.
Very cool.
The point is that the Walee has a clear mantra that we are a platform agnostic. We
Yeah.
will work on the platforms where the content creators are, whether they are on in social media networks, whether they are on short video platforms, whether they're on live
Sure.
streaming platforms, whether they're on games and esports. We need to bring everyone together so that we can serve everyone together. So yeah,
Very cool.
absolutely. This is big.
Very cool. Very cool. So what does the future hold for Walee? Like we know the billion dollar thing that you have going on. So that's going to be keeping you busy for the next 3 months or so. But what happens after that? And I know Middle East is on the cards, and you guys have already started working on it to some extent and kind of working on that market. But what's what's your retirement plan? Like when do you say, okay, I've done my bit, I've made Wali into whatever I needed to make it, and I'm off to play golf in the Bahamas. I don't know if you can play golf
I'm
in the
pretty
Bahamas,
sure
but like wherever.
people like you and me would never actually retire. Um, uh, I sit on a, I
That's
sit
because we're smokers, man. I don't think we'll get to that point, but okay, yeah, go on.
you sit on a Sunday and you're kind of like pulling your face. Why exactly the thing is happening? Why is everything so stale? Something needs to happen. So I guess I don't have a retirement in my mind as of now. As of now, the ambition of Wali, to be very honest, is so big. And the kind of things that are happening in the pipeline as of now in Pakistan, Middle East, and North Africa, and all of that are so mind boggling, even amazing or inspirational for me. That as of now, that seems just that wow. And you feel very humble and lucky to
Yeah,
be part of that. Okay, that yes, I am part of that. And I have been so lucky and blessed enough to be at the center of all of this that is happening. So I guess as of now, the exit or whether it's private or public is something that is just not there as of now. It's just constant growth. But even in a very remote sense, there might be a good coffee shop or a restaurant at the end of the day, somewhere in the future. but but it's very
very
vague.
cool.
I like to visualize. As of now, my vision is very clear about what
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do. There is no vision around retirement as of now. So
Sure, sure. No,
I
I
cannot.
mean, if I know you at all, it'll probably be like, the largest coffee chain or restaurant chain in the world, and will be like a decacorn in no time as well. So I think you're absolutely right. I think people are just wired a certain way, and I don't think there's any end of the line. You just think the way you think, regardless
Mhm.
of whether you're
Mhm.
starting or
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
you know so refreshing as always. Thank you so much. I'm not just saying this because this is online. I think I've said this to you multiple times as well. But talking to you really blows my mind pretty much every time. And thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I know how super busy you are right now, and I'm surprised you're not on a plane as we speak. Um, but
In a couple of hours.
wishing you
In
guys.
a couple of hours.
Sorry. Yeah,
In
I
a couple.
bet. I bet. I'm. I'm not surprised. But like wishing you guys, you and Wali, all the luck in the world, because I truly feel, again, like I have this I have this understanding that um, there's no business that can really kind of go that far without having a real vision behind it, because like everybody else is just kind of whatever, just there, make a quick buck and move forward. But that vision also, like the way that you've described it for you, has to kind of go back and be driven by something very very human. um, and like it hormones help as well, I'm sure. But like like these real human stories of kind of changing people's lives, not just if those are people that are working for you, working in your company, working to help build this, but also like all steps of the value chain, all steps of the food pyramid. And that's what I see when I see you guys and your team as well, and that's what inspires me and inspires all of us, and that's what makes me kind of dead sure that I can just kind of write you off as a unicorn right now if I had any credibility whatsoever.
The kind of
But
support, I always say the kind of support that we don't deserve, but we really need. So thank
yeah,
you for
full Batman feels. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But thank you so much, Essen, for taking out the time. I really
Just
appreciate
one
it,
thing
and I'm
I would
sure.
like to, as we are live, is that we are massively hiring, and the journey, the goals are so audacious, so ambitious that none of us can do it alone. So we're looking for as many people as who can join Walee to help us reach that level. So please feel free to look into our career pages and our social media platforms. Please join us on the journey that we are. And thank you, Saad. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. And highly recommended. We'll put in the link for the careers page for Walee as well underneath this video. So please do check it out. Look into these guys. They're a fantastic company, and they're working at a fantastic place as well, if I may say so. And all the best once again. Thank you to everyone who's kind
Thank
of
you.
joined in. Thank you for all your questions as well, and for kind of following us throughout all of this. We keep hosting, inspirational, brilliant people like Essen for different conversations, for fireside chats and insight sessions as well. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on pretty much any platform that you're on our social media as well. And you can also subscribe to our podcast. It's called What We Learned by Daftarkhwan, because, that's what it's all about. We're all about the learning. So, stay tuned. And thank you guys once again.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.